And this episode is for all the degenerate gamblers out there. We're going to talk about today are 3 actionable things that we can do every day to be this luck magnet. All right, welcome back to episode 7, lucky number 7 of Brolosophy. I am Mike Fio.
And I am Nick Fio.
And we are the Fio Bros.
And our intention with this podcast is super simple: to share practical wisdom for a happier, more fulfilling life.
And in this episode, we are talking about something that is for all the degenerate gamblers out there. It's the psychology of luck.
Yeah, we're going to try to distill how we can turn into the luckiest people on the planet.
Yes.
So
we recently found out about this dude. His name is Richard Wiseman. He's a researcher from the University of, ready for this? Hertfordshire. So he's got to be smart. Who spent all of his days studying lucky people. He created this new category in the field of science called the psychology of luck, where he basically was trying to find patterns among people who, A, considered themselves to be the luckiest people on the planet, and B, who other people considered them to be the luckiest people on the planet. And he wrote a book, and he distilled all this research, but what we're going to talk about today are our 3 biggest takeaways, 3 actionable things that we can do every day to be luckier and to be this luck magnet.
Yeah.
And we call them the 3 Bs.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into it, Mike. What do we got for number 1? What's the first B to be lucky?
The first B is be ballsy. Yeah. In other words, put yourself in positions to be lucky, to attract luck.
Yeah.
When I think about this one, what it really tells me is we all know those people that look at other people that are really successful and they say, oh, they're so lucky, right?
Yeah.
They're so lucky. That successful businessman who opened that sick restaurant on the beach 10 years ago, he's so lucky, right?
Yeah.
There's that thing happens all the time. But really what is the truth about that person is that they're actually just more ballsy.
You got to put yourself out there to...
You have to take risks.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to take risks. That's what this first one is all about. When we say be ballsy, it really means you need to take more risks. You need to put yourself in more uncomfortable situations.
Yeah. It reminds me of, I remember when I was in corporate America, and I realized very quickly, the people that were at the top of the corporate ladder really weren't the smartest people.
Yeah.
Right? It was just these people that were more ballsy and put themselves out there and put their ideas out there. But I met people who were super intelligent that would just sit in the corner and just do their work and be excellent and just thrive in their little cocoon.
Right.
But they never were able to get lucky and get to the next level.
Right. And this, I feel like we have the perfect example in our own personal lives of how we've gotten lucky by being ballsy. You want to share that story?
Yeah, I mean, so when we quit our jobs, we were failing miserably at everything we were trying. And really what we were trying was to create content online, which 8 years later we're still doing, right? But we were creating all this content online, basically trying to figure out who we were, what we were trying to be on the internet, on social media. And we really weren't having much success at all. But one day we go out and we decide we're going to give some blankets to people living on the streets of New York City. And we're going to record these amazing reactions we have to these people that are receiving these blankets. So we do that. We get back home. We make a little short film. We call it Blankets of Hope. We post it on our Facebook page. That's it. Small family project. This small little video is done. Maybe next year we'll do it again. But then what happened?
Then a venture capitalist on the other side of the country in San Francisco sees this video that we posted called Blankets of Hope, which had about 100 total views on Facebook. He was one of them, and we got an email that next day after posting it with a subject line that said, donation to Mike and Nick, and then the email went on to read, hi, my name is Todd Chafee. I'm a VC in California. I saw your Blankets of Hope video. You can Google me for more information, but I would love to offer you guys mentorship and financial support. I really love what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So basically, this guy ignited our entire entrepreneurial career. One video has turned into over hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations to, and hundreds of thousands of people impacted just because one video went out and found it and was put in the right person's hands.
Yeah.
And the only reason that luck was able to find us was because we were willing to put ourselves out there.
Yeah, I mean, think about what we did. We were giving out blankets to people experiencing homelessness, which was already kind of a scary thing to do to begin with.
Yeah.
But then we had the balls to say, people donated their money for us to buy these blankets, so let's record this so that they can see the impact that they're making. And to hold up that camera in front of these people's faces felt uncomfortable on so many levels. Like, part of you is saying, are we exploiting them? Like, you have all this mental talk.
Yeah.
We just said, shut up, do it. This is what we're doing, period.
Yeah.
And we had the balls to do
Our
it.
intention was clear. It was because we wanted to show other people how awesome it was to give back to others.
Yeah. But I also don't want to sound like we're fucking awesome. Like, there are times where we also don't have the balls and we miss out on opportunities.
No, absolutely. But I think you're right. Obviously, this podcast is really for us, right? These lists that we make and these examples we use of when they worked in our life are the positive, but it's also like a reminder for us to be like, yo, remember that podcast we talked about being lucky? Like, let's be ballsy so that we can attract this luck. But going one step deeper into this be ballsy. So there's a Seneca quote on luck, and he says that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. What do you think of that quote, and how do you think it relates to what we're talking about here?
Yeah, I think it definitely is the other side of the coin for this being ballsy situation. It's the add-on. So to go back to our personal example, when Todd, this venture capitalist, saw our video and we spoke to him the next day, I had to ask. I was like, Todd, this video had like, 100 views, and you happen to be one of them? And then, like, what the hell made you reach out to these two guys from Brooklyn with, like, nothing, basically? Like, we had nothing going for us at the time. And he said, well, I saw your profile. I was intrigued by the video. Then I clicked on your profile, and I looked at your portfolio of work, and I looked at the fact that you guys have been creating consistently for the last few months, and I've seen you guys getting better and better and better, and I could tell there was something there. You guys had something there. It wasn't fully baked yet, but I could tell you guys had something. And that is the quote in a nutshell. We were prepared for this opportunity. And I think the best way to prepare is to always be thinking about this portfolio, not necessarily in the concept of like a portfolio of work, a portfolio of discipline that you really need to be doing the day-to-day shit so that when that big thing does come, you're ready for it. You're not feeling like, oh my God, I can't do this.
You can seize the moment when the opportunity comes. Yeah. All right. That's beautiful. I think so. That's a great combo for number one. Be ballsy
and be prepared.
And be prepared. Yeah. All right. So now we're up to number two. What do we got, Mike?
Be an alchemist. Basically,
what does that mean?
We basically mean turn misfortune, quote unquote misfortune, into fortune. Basically, alchemize the bad shit into a good shit. And how do you do that? With your mindset. This one is all about your attitude towards quote unquote bad luck, right?
So basically, you're saying we can create our own luck.
Exactly.
That luck is nothing more than a state of mind.
Yes, that's what this one is all about.
Okay. So do you have an example of how this has happened in your life?
When I thought about this one, the best example that comes to mind is actually your story. When you broke your jaw. You turned this horrible, traumatic fucking experience into post-traumatic growth.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that for a second. So I was assaulted. My jaw was broken, right? And I had my mouth wired shut for 3 months. And during that time, I remember a very critical moment where I had to decide what was I going to make of this really difficult time in my life, right? It was like, am I going to just sit here in self-pity and just harp on the fact that I can't be out with my friends and talking and drinking and eating good food and all those great things that are the pleasures of life? Or am I going to like soak up every moment I have in these 3 months by myself in this cave to really come out of this and be the best version of myself, to do the things I always wanted to do, but I couldn't do?
In other words, you ask yourself, what if this was the best thing that ever happened to me?
Exactly.
Instead of, why did this happen to me? Or what, like, this is such a horrible thing. I broke my jaw. I can't eat.
Yeah.
I can't do anything. I can't speak. You ask yourself, what if this is a blessing? What
Yeah.
if this was actually good luck?
Yeah.
And then what did you realize? You realized that you now had 3 months off of work.
Yeah.
You now had the greatest gift of all, which was time. And
Yeah.
you used that time to your advantage.
Yeah, you know how they say like for every like your biggest weakness is also your biggest strength, and your biggest strength is also your biggest weakness.
Yeah.
I think it's also true for like your biggest like misfortune is also can be the most fortunate time in your life.
Depending on how you look at it.
Depending on how you look at it.
You have to
and
consider
that's
yourself
exact
a lucky
like
person.
like when I tell people my jaw story about what happened to me, they're like, "Oh my God, that's so terrible." And I actually tell them, actually, it was like the greatest thing that ever happened to me, truly, because it allowed me to completely transform my life.
Describe that transformation in simple terms. What happened?
It got me to break my pattern and the way I was thinking about my life. And it got me to go deep and question things that I had never questioned before.
And what happened? You went from A to B.
I went from someone who was doing things based on what other people had told me was good to starting to think for myself.
Give me specifics.
That was really the biggest transformation. So I was working in a corporate job, right, in accounting. Why was I doing that? My older brother was an accountant. I was following in his footsteps. I was in corporate America because my mom told me that was a safe job to be in. But when I had this time off, I started thinking for myself and asking myself, why am I doing this? What do I really want to do? That was the transformation. The ability to start thinking for myself.
And that seed that was planted during that time ended up sprouting into a new career.
A new career, a new life,
Yeah.
right? From a corporate monkey to an entrepreneur, right?
So it really was the luckiest
It was, believe it or not, getting punched in the face was the luckiest moment of my entire life, because it is the reason why even this podcast exists right now and we work together.
Yeah. All right.
So
I like that ending for number 2.
so let's go on to number 3, Mike.
This one's the easiest, the simplest, but in my opinion, also the most powerful. And it is believe.
Okay, what do you mean?
Believe you are lucky and you will be lucky.
Yeah, this reminds me of our dad. Yeah. So our dad's name is Luciano, but his whole life, similar to the mobster, he's been referred to as Lucky Lou or Lucky Luciano.
Yeah, he identifies as a lucky person.
He truly identifies and believe, like in his name, like an identity, like a name. He believes he is the luckiest person on the planet. And
he fucking is.
And he really is. He really is. Like any person, all of our friends that see him know him as the guy who's always hitting big in Atlantic City, or like just getting things
winning a Super Bowl box.
Anything. Like
he's always winning shit.
He is a lucky dude. And I think it's purely because he believes it and he identifies as it.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story here is, what do you have to lose by just believing and identifying as a lucky person?
Yeah. There's also science that backs this up. So the guy Wiseman, who studied all of these lucky people, he conducted this experiment where he separated people into 2 groups. He had one group who believed that they were lucky, like through a questionnaire, and then he had another group that didn't believe that they were lucky.
Okay.
And he gave them both the same newspaper. And he said, okay, you need to read this newspaper, and I want you to tell me how many pictures are in this newspaper.
Okay.
So he gives it to the first group, which are the lucky group, and within 5 seconds, they're all done. He gives it to the unlucky group, and it takes them like 2-3 minutes to actually count how many pictures are in it.
Okay.
Here's the kicker. The lucky group opened the first page and saw a little excerpt that said, "You can stop reading now. There are 46 pictures in this newspaper. Congratulations." Boom. Done. These guys who didn't consider themselves lucky went right over that subconsciously because they did not believe that an opportunity was there.
It was, yeah.
They're not looking for opportunities. They're not believing that opportunities can present themselves.
So what you're explaining is when you believe you're lucky, you're also more likely to find the opportunities that are constantly coming your way.
Exactly.
You have like almost like a radar for good opportunities coming your way when you believe you're lucky.
Absolutely.
But if you believe you're unlucky,
you won't see them.
But the opposite can actually be true, right? From what we like Murphy's Law, right?
Yeah.
What can go wrong will go wrong, right? If you believe I am so unlucky, this always happens to me.
We all know that fucking person that it seems like only terrible shit happens to them. Like it's one thing after the next. Their life is just one big shit show.
Yeah.
Like one big shit show. And they always say shit like, why does this always happen to me? Of course this is happening to me. Of course this is me, right? This always happens to me. That identity is the total opposite of the one that we need to have, which is I'm fucking lucky and nothing bad ever happens to me. Life is fucking sick.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's nothing bad happens to me, but when bad things do happen to me, I make the best of it.
I make lemonade.
So I think you're absolutely right. It's that identity of if you want to find the good, you will find it. If you want to find the bad, you will find that too. Yeah. Whatever you choose to focus on is what you will get in life.
Yeah. So if you want to win that parlay today, just believe you will, and you're gonna win it.
Yeah, that's
I don't know if I can
terrible advice.
That was not financial advice. I'm not giving anyone gambling advice. I don't want to get sued. Okay. All right, let's wrap this episode up.
All right, so give us the quick 10-second recap.
All right, so if you want to be the luckiest man or woman in the world, you just have to remember the 3 B's. Number 1, be ballsy. Put yourself out there. A really practical way to do this today is say hi to someone that you wouldn't normally say hi to. Just do that. Just say hi. If you're on a bus or a train, say hi to the person next to you. You don't have to start a conversation. Just say hi. See what fucking happens. Okay? Number 2, be an alchemist. This one is a more reactive thing, but basically turn your quote-unquote bad luck into good luck. Yeah. And the way you do this is by asking yourself in those difficult situations one question.
The golden question.
Yes. How can I make the best of this?
Love it.
What if this was a blessing? What if this was actually the best thing that ever happened to you? Ask that question and see what your mind can come up with. There's always an answer. Number 3, the easy one, but the best one. Believe you are lucky. Start walking around today as if you truly believe that you are fucking lucky. If you're going to work and you never find a parking spot, just start saying in your head, I'm going to find a parking spot today. I'm feeling lucky. See what happens. Chances are you're going to find that parking spot because you believe you are lucky.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Like when you're driving and you're looking for parking, especially in Brooklyn.
On that note, thanks for coming to episode 7, lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. I like
you just got that?
I just got that. That's awesome.
That was unintentional.
Love you guys. See you soon. Peace.